Chapter 11. Adventures to Share. The doctor tended to Kav's ankle and informed them that it was sprained. With a little time, it would heal. During dinner, Jasmine and Kav told their fathers about their exciting day. The men were relieved that their children were safe and seemed tickled that they had an adventure of their own. The next morning, after breakfast, Jasmine and the Sultan said goodbye to their guests. Kav looked at Jasmine with his jade-green eyes as he had something he wanted to say. "Goodbye, Kav," said Jasmine. Kav shifted his feet, still struggling to form the right words in his mind before saying them. "Jasmine," he said, then paused. Finally, he took a deep breath and continued. "Thank you." Then he handed her a bag. Jasmine peered into the bag and couldn't believe her eyes. It was his chess set. "But I want you to have it," said Kav, "for helping me, for being kind." He looked down at his feet. "I know I'm not always easy to get along with." Jasmine was shocked by his gesture and his words. "Thank you, Kav," she said. That is very generous." Kav smiled, and his nose bent toward his mouth. "Maybe one day we'll play again," he said. "But I'll have to practice first." "That would be lovely," said Jasmine. As they parted, Kav held up his hand, waving the rock she had given him. "I will treasure it always," he said. Jasmine and the Sultan watched as the horses carried the beautiful golden carriage away. "I forgot to ask," said Jasmine, turning to her father eagerly. "Did you win your game?" The Sultan nodded. "I did." "What did you win?" she asked. "What was it that you bet?" "Come," he said. "I will show you." Jasmine followed the Sultan through the front door of the palace and into his office. She imagined her father and Ghazi betting mounds of gold, crowns, or jewels. Her mind raced, wondering what the prize could be. Finally, the Sultan reached into his desk and pulled out a small old box. Jasmine gasped as she took in the sight of it. It looked just like the one that her father had described in his story about him and Ghazi and the mysterious tower. "Go ahead and open it," said the Sultan. Jasmine slowly opened the box. She looked at the strange artifact inside. "The medallion!" she exclaimed. The Sultan chuckled. "The medallion," he said. Jasmine picked up the small piece of metal and felt its rough, scratched edges. It was spotted with colors, green, gray, and copper, and he had a misshapen hole cut out of the center, and a swirly design etched on its surface. That is what we always bet," said the Sultan. "The object of our favorite adventure together." He leaned closer, whispering, "I'm glad I won it back." Jasmine smiled. "Me too." She gazed at the old medallion for another moment, flipping it over before giving it back to her father. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out her rock from the tunnel and showed it to him. The Sultan examined it thoughtfully. "It looks like an ordinary rock." Before Jasmine could defend her souvenir, he added, "Isn't it wonderful how something that appears ordinary can mean so much more?" He told her he was very happy she had something to help her remember her adventurous day. "It's beautiful. I am proud of you for being so brave and strong. You helped Kav without hesitation. You were a very good friend." "Thank you, Father," Jasmine said, honored by the compliment. It felt good to have learned that she did know how to be a friend. She had even made two. "But Babak was also a good friend to Kav and me." "He sounds like a fine boy. Armand must be proud of his son," the Sultan said, handing the rock back to Jasmine. Jasmine clutched the jagged rock in her hand and knew she would treasure the memories of the day and the friendships she had made forever. She loved her rock just as much as her father loved his medallion. It reminded her that friendships could be found in the most unlikely places. "Father, now that Kav is gone, I'll have no one to play with. But Babak lives nearby. We could play and never have to leave the palace grounds." "Jasmine, my answer remains the same," the Sultan said sternly. Though Babak is a nice boy, he is not royal." He turned away from Jasmine and headed toward his chambers. But Jasmine wasn't finished. The Sultan had made his decision, but she knew it was the wrong one. She ran up to her father and faced him. You've always taught me to treat everyone with kindness and respect. Why should it matter if a friend is royal or not? You even just stated that something ordinary can mean so much more, she said, now blocking her father. Rules can be changed. Jasmine, the Sultan began. Jasmine had to think fast. She had to convince her father while he was still in a good mood. I'll play you for it, she said with a sly smile. The Sultan's face softened. Oh, all right. If it means that much to you, I'll arrange a play date for you and Baba. But you must stay inside the palace gates, young lady. Thank you, father. Jasmine threw her arms around him, and they embraced. She smiled, knowing she could find a whole new world within the vast palace grounds. And that is the end of Jasmine's New Rules. Thank you again for joining me, and I hope to see you next time on another Jasmine adventure. See you real soon.